Hi there, I Bolit again, and not gonna talk about names nor music today. Today this one is a reaction video, and the reaction is to one beautiful lady named CompletelyLovely. Now I'm actually subscribed to her page, and I enjoy it very much. And she's an atheist. As you well know if you had seen my videos before, I'm not atheist, I'm a religious Jew, although I don't have a kippah on my head, but I'm still religious, and therefore I sometimes disagree with her. So this is my reaction to her. Why would I have the urge to react to a certain video? Let's just watch the video, shall we?
What if people in church are experiencing the same thing? I mean, their pastor, their preacher, their whatever is an expert of sorts. So are they actually at a physical disadvantage when they're in church? Are their defenses down? You know, are they not just being brainwashed, but they're being brainwashed while they're like handicapped? And so I looked into this, and a study was actually done on this, and had religious people brain scanned while they were listening to a religious leader talk, and their critical thinking skills, nothing, zip, zilch, no activity.
Now this is very problematic, but let's see the challenge that she gives us religion people in her video.
So my challenge to theists is to take that part of your brain, the part of your brain that's on right now while you're watching me.
Now this is very challenging. Why? Well, because as she mentioned in her video, there are actually researchers that claim that people, while listening to experts or charismatic religious leaders, tend not to think. And the thing is, it is very tough for me as a male and for many others to think watching her videos too, because you know, looking at a beautiful woman is hard for all us straights, for that matter. There's actually a saying in Hebrew, not the ancient but biblical Hebrew, that fits this situation. Actually, this saying is a bit rude, but why not? And the saying goes, "Kshehazайн omed hasechel batachat." To translate it, when your dick stands, your mind falls into your ass. And actually, it might be true. But I will try eventually to keep control and still say what I have to say about her challenge, but let's listen to this one till the end.
So use the part of your brain that you're using to find fault with me, and bring it to your holy book, whatever your holy book happens to be.
Now, I don't know about Christianity or Islam or other religions. I do know about Judaism. I'm going to talk about Judaism. Thing is, Judaism in his current form is called Yalut Purushit. Purushim or Perush is tractation or interpretation, because this Judaism is based mostly on the interpretation of the Bible. Now, we've been interpreting the Bible ever since. The Bible, and I mean the Old Testament, I don't know about the New Testament, was finished at about the 1st or 2nd century AD, and since then there was the Mishnah, and there was the Babylonian and Jerusalemian Talmud, which were written in different parts of the world interpreting the Mishnah, which interprets the Bible. And then there was the Kabbalah, favorited by Madonna and Ashton Kutcher and others, which main book, the Zohar, actually says that the whole Bible is a metaphor to metaphysical stuff, which is interesting. And lots and lots of interpretation and criticism about the text, and about mistakes that actually exist in the Bible. Now, it's something that religious people do all day long. For example, Orthodox Jews actually study these books, most of these books, from the age of 4 until they die. Let's not talk about them not working and stuff like this, which is concerning political stuff, but their education is solely on these books. Now, if we're talking about interpretation, let's compare good interpretation and better interpretation. Let's hear the interpretation of CompletelyLovely to something she found in the Bible.
So, except we're in Chronicles. Chronicles really has nothing but big long lists of names. Solomon's son was Rehoboam, and Abijah, his son Asa, his son Jehoshaphat, his son Jeroham. I mean, what? So this guy creates the universe, creates everything, the stars in the heavens and the seas below, and just the one book he gives us as advice on how to live, and it's full of unpronounceable names.
Now, the Book of Chronicles may be not interesting if you read a bunch of names you can't pronounce, I agree, although the names do have a meaning, and if you know the meaning it becomes much more interesting. But nobody says, at least in Judaism, not even the most orthodox rabbi, no one would say that the Book of Chronicles was written by God. Both Judaism and probably Christianity believe that God, if he wrote a book, he wrote the first 5 books of the Bible, from Genesis to Deuteronomy. The rest was written by prophets, by people who claimed they heard God. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I would rather believe they did. But that's that. So God wouldn't give us a chronicle of names of the kings that were here. It's the prophets who wrote this book who wanted to tell a story to teach us some kind of a lesson. Sometimes a bit sadistic, I agree. Now, let's hear a better interpretation. Now, interpretation is a part of Judaism ever since, as I told you. One of our greatest and the world's greatest philosophers, Maimonides, or Rambam in Hebrew, actually a doctor, a mathematician, and everything that ever existed in the medieval ages. He wrote several books about the Bible. He wrote 20 books about medicine, but it's not our thing here. And the most important, Mishneh Torah, is actually a list of the things to do if you're a religious Jew. And the first thing on the first page is know your God. Now, it's not know about God or God's existence, is know your God. The only way, according to Maimonides, who actually learned Aristotle very well, the only way to know your God is to question his existence and prove it to yourself all the time. So, in this case, without critical thinking, according to the biggest rabbi that ever was, you can't be a religious Jew. Interesting thought. Now, besides that, here's a story of interpretation into Judaism. Now, the story I'm about to tell is from the Babylonian Talmud. It describes the 1st century AD. Things like that. Many rabbis are sitting in this center called the Sanhedrin. It's something like a parliament those days, and they want to decide on a law according to the Bible. And they say, let's say there is a case in which there is a brick oven, and one of the bricks was desecrated. Is the rest of the oven pure or not? Can we eat from it? Now, you may well know that in Judaism there are many laws about what you can eat and what you can't eat, so it's important. And the greatest rabbi there, that was a master in purity and desecration, said it's pure, and the rest, the majority, says it's not pure. So Rabbi Eliezer says, I know it's pure and let me prove it. If I'm right, the kerub tree will show, and the tree flies in the air and lands in another place. A miracle. And they say, no, a kerub tree isn't evidence. So he says, if I'm right, the river will show, and the river changes its course, and definitely a miracle. And they say, no, a river isn't evidence. And then he says, the walls will show, and the walls of this monument begin to shake, and they're all afraid until Rabbi Yehoshua, the opposition, cries out, the answer is not in the sky, and the walls stop shaking. And then Rabbi Eliezer says, if I'm right, God will say it himself. And there's a sound coming out, and the sound says, Rabbi Eliezer is right, it is pure. And then they banish Rabbi Eliezer, and they say, we are the majority and we decide. Now, the thing is that the legend says that in this book that when God saw this from above, he said, eventually my sons have beaten me. So this is the beginning actually of ruling of the majority for Jews and of some kind of a democracy. And even if God says it's right and most rabbis, for example, or scholars say it's wrong, then it's wrong. And it's very weird. But the thing is that according to this story, even God approves interpretation and criticism. So, this goes to show that not all religions are so uptight about criticism and interpretation, and not all theists, me for example, and many more religious people and theists are being brainwashed, and some of us do use criticism, although it's very hard when speaking to a beautiful woman. Nevertheless, feel free to react, and I'm waiting for your reaction, completely lovely, and the reaction of many others. Shalom Yerushalayim.